Yeah.
Welcome to Shifts and Giggles, Conversations with Beth, where curiosity meets connection. I'm Beth Lees, a lifelong spiritual explorer, passionista, and a lover of deep, meaningful conversations. This podcast is all about getting to know amazing people in a fun and intimate way through interesting questions designed to spark laughter, insight, and those holy shift moments where your perspective suddenly changes. So get comfy, open your heart, and let's dive into some real soulful conversation. My next guest is going to take us deep. His name is Matthew Broad, and he is a magical and multi-talented creative artist. Matthew is a true Pied Piper of play and connection, leading community drumming circles for over 25 years, teaching people of all ages and skill levels how to find their rhythm, listen to one another, and create music together in just minutes. His drumming circles build community, melt away stress, and spark pure joy, and are one of my most favoriteest things to do. But Matthew's creativity doesn't stop there. He's also an author, a pie maker, and a freehand mandala artist whose work flows directly from divine source of inspiration. What started with painting gratitude stones and garden rocks has blossomed into hundreds of vibrant mandalas on rocks, tiles, glass, canvas, and wherever he can find a place to do a mandala. Each piece is a meditation, a joyful act of acceptance, and a reminder that perfection isn't the goal. Presence and play are. Matthew brings music, art, presence, and laughter wherever he goes, and I can't wait to see where our conversation takes us. One thing's for sure, it will be deep, meaningful, and sprinkled with some laughter too. So join me in welcoming the endlessly creative and heart-centered Matthew to Shifts and Giggles.
Mhm. Thank you, Beth, for that kind introduction.
I love you so much.
I love you too, Beth.
What are we going to talk about today?
Well, before we talk about stuff that I've been doing and working on, I just want to say that if there was ever a shift in my life, it was when I somehow got introduced to you and became part of your TLC group, and I really can't explain how wonderful of a shift in my life that was for the positive and for experiencing the love that you give to people and everything that you do. So I really, you know, have so much gratitude for being a part of your life and you being a part of my life. So thank you, Beth.
Thank you. The
Yeah.
gratitude is there for me as well.
Yeah.
You're a very special human.
And so are you.
Well, let's be special together.
Yeah.
Don't make me cry already. Jesus.
Yeah.
Like 3 minutes in.
Yeah, it's I just feel like, you know, I since I mean, I guess I'll just jump right in and say
Just
that,
jump in.
since Janet's passing back in May, um, I feel like my life has changed so much in so many ways, but that sharing the gratitude with not only being aware of how grateful you are for things in life, but also sharing that gratitude with other people when you feel that gratitude. And I do it in the drum circles, as you know, with the gratitude drumming, but I'm really trying to, no, I'm not going to say trying to, I am walking my talk and sharing that gratitude and trying to be as kind as I possibly can be in this crazy mixed up world that we live in, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, it's a crazy mixed up world. And
Yeah.
you do so many amazing things. Like, and now you're an author too.
Oh my gosh, what a trip. Who would have thunk it? I don't know.
So So you make pies. I saw you were back making pies again.
Oh, yeah, right.
You make mandalas. You do drumming. What is
Yeah,
you
yeah.
write a book? Like what is the common thread between all those things?
Um, I think the common thread in general is I just think it's my essence coming out, right? So my creative essence coming out. So I was recently thinking about how, my life experience um throughout my life, the essence of who I am has come through at different times, but then has, I wouldn't say gone away, but just been put to the side, with let's see, the feelings of responsibilities and, finances and, the pressures of being a human, being in this body on this planet at this time. And so I feel like my essence has shown through at different times. Like even if I think back at when I was a child and I was playing on this little tiny football team, and I mean, I didn't like football, but I still played football because all of my friends were playing football. And the award that I got that year when they handed out awards for kids being, the best quarterback and all, I got the the one that smiled the most. Right? I mean, that is the funniest thing, but it's just it just goes to show you that my essence, who Matthew really is as far as like being kind and walking my talk about gratitude and love, um shown through at various different times of my life. But since Janet's passing, I feel like I am just in the world in a completely different way. And that experience that I had witnessing and not necessarily guiding, but allowing Janet to transition to, you know, after being in this body, um, I think has been so profound for me. So, talk about shifts.
That's a
Wow.
holy shift.
Wow. Yeah, that was a huge holy shift.
Yeah, and so let's tell that story a little because I know that led to you writing a book, and you and I have kind of a similar shared experience in um the whole being present for our partners as they were ending the end of their lives.
Mhm.
And it's a very challenging place to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to share a little bit about your journey through that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's the reason why I wrote what I did write. Because I think it's important to share, you know, particularly when it comes to caregiving for somebody who is going through a terminal illness. Um, so I have written a book. It's called "100 Last Breaths," and it's basically about well, the book covers the last 7 months of Janet's life through my eyes.
Right.
So I never considered myself a writer beforehand. I mean, I've dabbled in writing my ideas about things over the years, but never in the sense of like, a book that I think other people would like to read or can get something out of what I read. So Janet, the long ride of the Janet experience for me was we were together for 16 years. And the last 7 years of her life, she got ill. Um, First with a tumor that wasn't cancer that needed to be operated on, and there was a whole time frame of recovery from that. Um, but then 6 years ago, a week ago, it's been 6 years, she was diagnosed with colon cancer. And so it was a 5.5 year journey of dealing with surgeries, dealing with chemotherapy, which she ended up doing 59 rounds of chemo over that 5.5 years. And there were times where it seemed that the cancer went into, regression and wasn't there for about a year of that time period. And during that time period was around when COVID happened. And so we were able to, you know, we had COVID for us was an incredible time because we were forced to be together as a family and do the organic gardening, and Janet was focused on the yoga and all of that. Um, but then as time progressed and the cancer came back in her liver, um, it affected her pretty significantly, and so after we did a big family last family trip together with her mom and her sister and her daughter, um when we got back from the trip last October, that's when I noticed a decline in her health. And at that moment, that's when I started keeping a daily journal.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. So you had never written any, you weren't writing, keeping a journal before that.
No, no, no.
What inspired you to keep a journal? Was it just for yourself?
Right. So it wasn't didn't start out as a journal. It started out as the morning pages.
Oh,
So
those morning pages.
right. So leading up to this time period for the last year prior, I had not done many of my mandalas that I paint. And I was feeling almost like it was a writer's block, except it was in the sense of not, there was no creativity going into my artwork. And so I was like, Janet had told me about the morning pages. And so I decided to try to do the morning pages. And the morning
For those of
pages,
you that, oh, are you
yeah,
going to
yeah,
tell
no,
them?
you
Yeah,
go, you
okay.
go, you go.
Well, so the morning pages are Julia Cameron, the of the artist's way, her way of it's one of the daily practices that you can do, which is writing 3 pages every morning, just writing until you can't write anymore, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so, but with the morning pages, the intention of the morning pages is to just when you wake up, to just write and not think about what you're writing, right?
Right.
Just to write for the sake of writing. Just write, just write. And I wasn't able to do that. Matthew's mind seems to think and then write, think and then write, not just write, 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 but think and then think and write and think and write and think and write. And so even though the first, 5 days or so, I did fill up 3 pages, it was such a struggle for me. And so I decided that what am I doing? Why am I, what am I doing? And it ended up being that I'd open the book and I write down how I was feeling instead of just writing down nonsense. And so it just gradually over a very short period of time turned into a journal. And so every morning I'd wake up, before Janet did, and I would sit by her bedside and just write how I was feeling and what I was thinking and what was going on with Janet and what was going on with me. And it just turned into uh this practice that I did every day. And I did it all the way through her decline and leading up to her death on May 8th. And I continue to do that every day, even
Wow.
even today, and have found it to be an incredible practice of being in touch with how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. And
So how did that change you? How do you think that that colored your experience at the end of it?
um um yeah, so I mean, so the book ends up being, so at the beginning of the book I give a little bit of backstory about the previous year, and a little bit about my life and a little bit about Janet's life. And then it's basically the whole part of the book is my journal. And so I mean, who makes their journals public? I don't know.
Not a lot of people,
Not a lot of people, right? And so
especially
and,
men.
right. And I was, I didn't think anybody would read my journal, but at the end of a week after Janet passed, and I write about this in the book, a week after Janet passed, I went to her mom's house and I sat down and reread all of the journal entries from start to finish. And at the end of it, I realized that I needed to make it public because I felt like there's so many aspects of the end of life experience from a caretaker's point of view that could be helpful to others, right? So not only the grief, not only the intensity of logistics of caregiving, but also the vulnerability of of what I was going through when it came to the loss of intimacy, around 5.5 years of cancer, right? And what someone goes through with cancer, and cancer is a scary word. When it comes up in your life, whether or not it's for you or for somebody you love, a family member or a friend, there's a change there. Undoubtedly there is a change, and um I don't really know how to articulate it besides yeah, there's a shift, and
Holy shift.
your relationship changes
Yep.
at that moment, whether or not it's an intimate physical change, or whether or not it's how you handle the pressures of the world and the fear that go along with cancer, right? And so I realized that the book, that it needed to be turned into a book. And so I didn't finish it where when Janet passes. I kept a few weeks past Janet's passing in the book. And then 2 months later, we did a celebration of her life at the yoga studio, and which was beautiful. And I
Really
included that in the book. And then I add some more in the book about what I witnessed, how I witnessed, um, what that was like for me, and how important witnessing somebody going through this transition into whatever comes next, along with all the questioning, like the questioning of my faith, the questioning of, why did Janet get cancer, or, all of the questions that go along with
Yeah, it's an
with it.
existential crisis.
Yeah, yeah. So, and so I guess I'm a writer,
I guess you're an author,
an
you're a
author, right?
writer, you're a pie maker,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
a
right, right.
drumming circle
Right. So I
leader.
do I do find that I give myself these interesting goals or practices, like pie making, for instance. Like, I think during COVID, a lot of people did that sort of thing. Like a lot of people started doing pottery, and a lot of people started doing yoga, right? For me, it was pies. And so,
Yeah, you
that
tantalized us all with your photos of your pies. It was horrible.
yeah, and so after that pie experience, right? So I set a goal of trying to do 52 different kinds of pies for, each week of the calendar year. So I was determined to do 52 completely different pies from each other, something different about them, right? So I ended up doing 48 different pies. I didn't quite make
You owe
didn't
us four.
I didn't quite make my 52 different, but I did make a list, so I could go back and try to do those other four. But I made 98 pies altogether.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a fun practice. I really enjoyed it. And
You
so
always do things in a big way.
I guess. Yeah, and so this past week I did make a couple of pies for a friend. And it's funny because when they asked me to make the pies, I was like, I had to take a deep breath because I was like, I'm not sure if I want to. Okay, I'll make you a couple pies.
And I bet you enjoyed making them too.
I did, actually, this time was different because there wasn't the pressure of, like, I don't know, when I was doing the pie as a practice, I felt like there was a pressure to, I don't know, have it come out good. And so this time
Oh,
there was
getting
no pressure.
attached to the outcome.
I was attached to the outcome, and this time it was just smooth. There was a zen to the mess that I was making in the kitchen. It was good. I really enjoyed making the pies this past week.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Tell us
Yeah.
about your mandala making.
So the mandala, so right. So when I say at the beginning of this that I feel like, I don't know if I did, maybe I thought it, but I feel like the creative source, the divine creative source keeps coming through me in these way through my essence, right? And
Mm.
so the pies were kind of like that. I mean, I never made pies. I mean, it was just one of those things. Like, you know, the drum business was like that. It came to be through a feeling and a sensation of almost like God was saying, or the universe was saying, okay, this is your path. This is what you're meant to do. And so, yeah, 2.5 years ago, or is it three? Maybe 2.5 years ago now, Janet had bought me a 2010 box of these acrylic markers. And I just started drawing mandalas. Really don't know how else to say it. I had no idea what I was doing, right? So I had some rocks and I started drawing little mandalas on the rocks, and that just kept going. And I think I did like 500 rocks before I started to paint on other things like paper or canvas. And every time I picked up the pen, and whatever I was painting on just was not planned. It was just besides a mandala. Like I had it in my head that I was going to draw a mandala, but I had no idea the shapes or the size or the colors that I was going to add. It's just something that flows through me in this. All I could say is a divine connection to creative source. I mean, I
I
don't
love
really.
it. It's like you're tapping in.
Yeah, it's a bizarre thing. I would imagine that it's very similar for people who are playing improvised music, right?
Right.
Right. So they're not thinking about what they're just feeling, and they're just expressing through what they're playing. And I
Yeah,
think
they're
it's,
plugging in.
yeah, and I think it's similar to that.
So, and you do these mandalas freehand,
Yeah, yeah, right,
which is a totally different experience than drawing a perfectly round circle with a compass on a piece of paper.
right, right. No measurements,
No measurements.
no measurements. It's just, like you were saying in your intro, the intro about me, the making of the mandalas is a practice in not being perfect, right?
Mm.
And so I start out with a basic shape, and from that shape, I make more shapes. And as I go around, the shapes aren't perfectly lined up. They're not, the shapes are completely different. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Um, and so they're not perfect, right? And so, but because our eyes play tricks on us, they look perfect. They look perfect, even though they're not.
And I
And
love
so,
that.
yeah.
It's a lesson in um not being attached to the outcome, that it's really more about the process.
Yeah, it's a free flow process, I'm a big fish fan. One of my favorite lines of fish is surrender to the flow. And I really am practicing that in life.
Surrendering to the flow.
Yeah,
What
and
does
I
that
think,
look like in your life?
what does surrendering to the flow look like?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, unfortunately, we're like locked into, a time frame of like what happens in a day, right? So, you have meetings to go to or be present with, you have appointments to go to, work to be done, and responsibilities and all that. And so I think for me, because of the way my lifestyle has turned out, I am lucky in that I have the ability and freedom to um, not be so wrapped up in the time sense of the day, And so I'm able to um, make mandalas if I want to, or sit down and write for a couple hours if I want to, or I mean, I still have responsibilities, but those responsibilities aren't my, main focus of the day. And so I'm able to, um, surrender to the flow. If those responsibilities come up and I need to tend to things, then I accept that I'm not going to be doing my artwork. I'm not going to be doing this creative flow, right? I've got to focus. And so I just 100% surrender to the flow of my responsibilities, right? Does that make sense?
Beautiful. Makes a lot of sense. You know what we haven't talked about yet?
No. The drumming.
Ding, ding, ding. So that kind of rewinds us a little because the
Yeah,
drumming started way before all this other stuff.
that's true. That's true. Right.
So talk to me about the drumming.
So you want to talk about like what the drum circle is now, or do you want me to talk about like how the drum thing even came to be?
Yeah. And yeah.
Y- Okay. All right. A little bit of Matthew history would be um, let's see. Back in the early mid 90s, I was a carpenter building houses, and there was a recession going on, and so there were way more carpenters than there were houses being built. And so I needed to figure out how to make a living that wasn't necessarily building houses. And so I just happened to go see this Nigerian drummer by the name of Babatunde Olatunji in concert. And I walked out of that concert again with the universe and the way I explain it is it's like somebody took one of those clown hammers and bonked me on the head. It's soft and squishy, but it kept bonking me on the head as I was walking out of that concert saying, "You have to make drums. You have to make drums." Like, and I didn't know anything about making drums.
And did you play drums?
No, I didn't play drums. No, I was a carpenter. I mean, I've always been really into music and loving rhythm and percussion, but never thought of myself as like a writer, right? Never thought of myself as a drum maker or a drummer. Anyway, so over a 1 year period, I taught myself how, because I had all the carpentry tools, I taught myself how to make drums, and making drums and selling drums and marketing drums and playing drums. And so I had to learn how to play the drums. And so I connected with a master drummer from Mali, West Africa, and he like took me under his wing and taught me how to play the drums so that when I was out marketing my drums and going to music stores to try to sell my drums, I knew what I was talking about as far as like this being a good instrument, right? And in doing so, I would invite him to Vermont and have him teach drum circles. And so I was involved and I watched him how he presented himself and how he taught people how to drum. And so I learned so much from that experience.
Just
Again,
from
then,
observation.
yeah, just from observation. And that really is a typical way, and a way that I subscribe to as far as teaching is, like children are sponges, right? If they're around you all the time, they're absorbing and learning. You don't have to say, oh, you have, I mean, sometimes you do, but in general, when it comes to drumming in particular, I don't say, okay, hit the drum like this. This is how you hold your hands. They just do it. Right. And so, my philosophy in the drum circle nowadays is that I do teach a little bit of how to touch the drums, the proper way to touch the drums so people don't hurt their hands. And then I try to have people feel the rhythm that I'm teaching.
It's
And
so
so
powerful.
and so I ended up leaving the drum business in 2003, and then for 15 years I didn't touch a drum. And then in 2000 and well, maybe it wasn't 15 years, but 2016 or 2017, I just had the urge to play drums again. And so I decided to reach out to my old business partner who was still making drums. and I bought 20 djembe drums from him and started doing my own drum circles. And then I met you. And then you seem to be like, yes, this is good. This is what we need. And this is a wonderful thing. And you could see that it could be used as a alternative healing or meditative modality. And I think that so that's how it all came to be, right?
It's so awesome and so
Yeah.
much fun. And do you remember that drum circle that we did in the mall? What happened during that drum circle in the mall?
Oh gosh, I remember them all. I know we're talking about the pop-up, the pop-up summer solstice drumming event in the mall that we did was like
No, the
with the
first drum
meditation.
circle that we did in the mall and the older men that were sitting in the food court.
Oh, vaguely. They were,
And so we
yeah.
had this drum circle in the mall, and there were in the food court, which was a little bit a ways away, there were this table of older men sitting that were drawn by the sound of our drumming. And they were talking about one of them came over and talked to somebody who I think he talked to Donna, who was in the drum circle, and said that
Oh,
he was a veteran.
yeah.
And during the war, they used tin cans to drum and send messages to each other.
Amazing. Amazing.
It was so powerful.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think that the connection, if you allow the connection, right, that it can be powerful and it can bring up, emotional responses in people, positive emotional responses, healing
Healing, yeah.
emotional responses in people. Um, and I've seen it over and over again that I mean, even on Thursday night, you know, down in Stanford, the most recent drum circle I did. I mean, we were doing something silly or something, and a woman next to me she's just busting out laughing, like like this grin on her face, and she's just laughing. She had never drummed before, and all of a sudden, she felt like this connection to the group and to the music, and it must have just been an overwhelming sense of joy that came out of her, and that happens frequently at these drum circles.
Yeah.
And it's a
So
special
powerful.
it's a special thing, and you know I just am blown away by the response so many times. I'm really just I just kind of feel like I'm a little bit of a conduit for uh I don't know, that sense of joy and love coming through.
You
And in this
totally
and
are.
in this case, it's the drum circle. Like if I can guide people to express themselves in a way in community. I mean, there's so many aspects of it that just I feel like are so good for us. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. All right, I've got some rapid fire questions for you before we wrap it
Okay,
up.
I
You ready?
apologize about this background sound. I know the
I
lawnmowers are
can't hear
happening outside.
anything,
Okay,
so
okay,
don't
good.
worry about it.
Okay,
All right, some rapid
I'm
fire
I'm ready. I'm
questions.
scared,
You
but I'm
should be
ready.
very scared. Um, wait, where are they? Hold on. I'm finding them someplace. Here we go. Drum solo or dance party?
Dance party.
I knew you were going to say that. Sweet pie or savory pie?
Sweet pie.
Sweet pie. Do you think mandalas taste like pie or sound like drums?
Oh wow. Do mandalas taste like pies or sound like drums?
Exactly.
Wow. I've never thought of them having a sound or a taste, so I'd have to say I think they both. They're-
That's a very good answer to a silly question. If your drum had a name, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. My particular drum,
Yeah,
um, Matthew.
Matthew, very good. Fill in the blank. Rhythm is the new blank.
Well, I don't think I can answer that one because rhythm isn't new. But in comparison to something that's new, rhythm is the new love drug.
I love that's great. One word that always makes you smile.
Um, love.
If laughter had a rhythm, what would it sound like?
Um, if it had a rhythm, what would it say? If laughter had a rhythm, so there is a rhythm part of cuckoo that I that I play when
Sure.
other people are doing the bass, and it goes like this. Goon giddy, goon giddy, goon giddy, goon giddy.
Kaku diddy.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's it.
I love it. That's a great answer.
Yeah, yeah.
Woohoo. I love you so much, Matthew.
I loved you too, Beth. It was
Thanks.
really,
This was really fun.
I just love that you're doing shifts and giggles. And I just love the name. And I think it's amazing. Yes.
It's awesome. Where can people find you, Matthew?
Um,
You have a
okay.
website?
I have freehandmandala.com. I have matthewscommunitydrumming.com. I think I don't know. I haven't looked at that one in a while. I haven't looked at that one in a while. I have to Matthew's
We'll have to find
community.
out about that one.
Yep. I'm on Instagram as freehand mandala, I think. You know, the whole like social media thing and websites and stuff,
They're not Matthew's
they're not my
forte.
strong suit.
But if you want to get in touch with Matthew, reach out to me and I'll hook you up.
Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, Matthews Community Drumming at gmail.com or info at freehand mandala.
Fabulous. Thank
Yeah.
you for being my guest today, Matthew.
It's an honor. It really is an honor. I love you so much and big hugs to you today, being on the
Woo-hoo.
fall equinox. I hope the day is a beautiful day for you.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening and stay tuned for the next episode.